I am Zeno Roman, publisher of the Surfcasters Journal, and you are watching Surfcasters Journal TV.
Don't ever, ever listen to Billy Joel before you go fishing, because you will definitely not catch fish.
That's it.
It's obviously, really beat up.
I'd like to welcome you to the SJTV, a multi-segmented web show for the surfcasters. As you know, we at Surfcasters Journal always trying to bring you the best content possible. In this first episode, we're gonna have Bill Fisher chunking and catching a lot of fish. We're going to have John Skinner, Billy Wetzel, Crazy Alberto, Dennis Zambrata, Lou Caruso, and myself, Zeno Roman. We were driving down the beach looking for a location to do a little how-to on chunk bait when we ran into Billy Fisher hammering the fish on chunks. There were about 2-3 dozen guys throwing plugs. Not a single one had a fish while Billy kept getting fish. So we asked Billy if we can mic him up and he can tell us what was he doing, what was the secret of his success.
Right now I'm chunking and I'm liking to use the head right now. There's a lot of small fish and it's kind of weeding them out, and there's some small blues around. The bluefish tend to leave the heads alone. The bass are hitting real aggressive too, so they're ripping the smaller chunks off sometimes where they're just inhaling the heads. This is the rig I'm using. You might laugh, but this right here will stop you from getting tangled when your sinker tumbles. Instead of being fully connected and twisting your line, that swivel right there will save that from happening. I like to hook the bunker right here. This way, when the bass swallows the head, gets the hook right there, and it's hard to tear off when it's hooked right there. You hook it up here, I seem to not get as many hookups. You don't want to go through the eyes and the hook won't come out. But right here, a good hook set will tear that hook free. You're looking at the leader. This is 100-pound mono, and you might be saying it's kind of short, but that helps you cast a lot further for the outer bar I'm hitting. And that short leader, it won't tumble as much either out there because the waves and the current won't pick it up as much. You're gonna see all this white water in close, but there's an outer bar out there, and I'm hitting just inside of it in the trough. You can feel as I reel in, if I go too far, I'm dropping off into the slough that the fish are cruising through. I want to look, that wave's breaking right where I want to hit, right there. Right now, it's real easy to see the structure. You got a southwest wind blowing about 10-15 knots, and you got about a 4-foot, 5-foot heave, so it's real easy to see the bars. Right now, there's an outer bar, and I can see every time you get a good set coming in, and there's some deep water right in front of it, and that's what I'm trying to hit. And that water on the inside of the bar or the outside of the bar, the fish will swim along the bar. Right now, I'm lucky they're swimming on the inside of the bar and I'm able to reach them. You gotta hold a rod when you're fishing for stripers because sometimes they're just so damn finicky and you gotta feel them little taps. If they were hitting real light, I'd have the bait runner on, and if I felt the tap, I'd just let it go. But they're hitting so aggressive right now that I'm just dropping the tip, maybe taking a step forward and letting the line come tight and then setting the hook. But you have to absolutely hold the rod for this. If you leave it in the rod holder, the bounce back from the rod just gonna rip it right out of their mouths. I like either using the head or the very first piece next to the head. A lot of times I'll take that piece next to the head, the gut piece. I'll even wrap it in a rubber band sometimes when the fish are real finicky, and it makes it like a little chum bucket. And I've had times when that's the only piece they want. Right now, they're liking the heads a lot. I mean, these next pieces will work, but like I said, they're hitting very aggressive, and they tend to rip the bodies right off the hook. So again, you hook it up in the shoulder area there, and it's real tough to get that hook out there. This is the gut piece I like using here. This is usually garbage, although I have had buddies catch some monsters on this piece here. They see me throwing it out all the time and laugh, the old timers. Every once in a while, I like to move the bait forward a couple feet. It stirs up the sand, and sometimes them fish are snooping around looking for the bait, and that'll help them find it. Usually I keep the bait 15 minutes tops, usually more closer to 10. You want to keep it fresh, keep a trail of scent going, so you don't want to get all washed out. Wish I had more heads. Have to have somebody go to the tackle shop and get me a book.
Legend Surf, the best surf rod in the world. No one's been able to duplicate the performance of this rod. One of the key assets of this rod is the amazing lightness. And with SC4 graphite with FRS provides the strongest, lightest, most durable surf rod. One of the most revolutionary features of this rod is the X grip with the neoprene cover. It feels like a motorcycle grip. One of the most comfortable handles I've ever used. On the Legend Surf, we're using Fuji LC surf guides with alkanite rings. They provide ultra long distance casting. The Fuji reel seat on this rod has silver frosted hoods, which accents the beauty of this rod's Belize blue finish. Legend Surf, greatest surf rod in the industry. Designed and handcrafted in our Park Falls facility, backed by our Superstar Service Center. Stop by StCroixRods.com and check out all the models that we have.
As you can see, bait fishing is a skill that requires a lot of planning and preparation. In Billy's case, having enough heads, what rigs to use, and even where to place his chunk. Our next segment is Ask the Pro, where we encourage our readers to send in questions, and we're going to find the local experts to answer them. Today's question is from John from New Jersey. He says that he heard that bottle plugs are great in rough water, but that recently he was on a local inlet in a flat water, and one of the local fishermen was killing the fish on the bottle plugs. So he's wondering if he should be carrying the bottle plugs at all times, not just in rough water. From a personal standpoint, I can tell you that I carry a bottle plug almost all the times, and that depends greatly on the current conditions and the availability of bait, larger bait in the surf. But in the search of a better answer, we went to New York surf fishing guide Bill Wetzel.
So some people say that bottle plugs are only good in rough water. Well, that's not necessarily true. One thing about a bottle plug is that you should have some type of current to fish them, because you want them digging and you want them swimming. Unlike a darter, I mean, you can fish a darter in pretty much anything. But a bottle plug is kind of the same profile as a darter, only it has this motion. It swims like this. So, and big winds, say you got a 30, even the other night we were fishing gale, 40 knot winds, and I was throwing a 2-ounce Gibbs bottle plugs through the 40 knot wind. This is a 3-ounce. This is not a Gibbs. This is a North Bar, but the 3-ounce as opposed to the 2-ounce is going to catch the wind a little bit more. So you cast the 3-ounce into like a 30 or 40 knot wind, and it's almost going to come back at you. Where the 2-ounce, even though it's lighter, it's going to punch through a little bit better. But the advantage of the 3-ounce is you got a bigger profile, and it's going to dig a little bit quicker and a little bit harder than the 2-ounce. The 2-ounce is not going to dig as hard, and it doesn't have that big profile, but still a big profile bait. I mean, they're great when herring's around or bigger, any bigger bait. And they got a straight swim, as opposed to a darter, which has a zigzag motion. Bottle plugs are not only good for rough water, you know, they're good for flat surf as well. You know, as long as you have a little bit of current to get these plugs to dig. Even if you don't have a little current, I mean, technically you could reel faster and and get that plug to swim, get it diving down just a little bit faster. But there's other plugs of better choices that you can do that with without any current at all. You want a little current, but you can absolutely use them in flat surf. Back bays, anywhere there's a little current, you can use a bottle plug. And they cast like a Dickens, man. You throw them out there and they'll cast a mile. That's the beauty of it. A lot of guys use these. Check out this one. You know, it's all. I was with a guy with a charter the other night, and he was using something similar to this. This is a Gibbs. It was even more beat up than this one. I'm like, well, use it. It's going to catch fish. He was throwing his plug, nothing. I put on a bottle plug in, and bang, he had like a mid or high teen fish. And he couldn't believe it because the plug was totally annihilated. It was like all the wood was showing and everything. But, you know, they're hitting the profile most of the time. They're not necessarily hitting, you know, a pretty looking plug. As long as it's swimming good, that's what you want.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Bill Wetzel and picked up a pointer or two. We encourage you to send us your requests to info@surfcastersjournal.com, and we will do our best to find local expert to answer your questions. Next up is Lou Caruso with an innovative way to protect your finger while casting.
Hi, I'm Lou Caruso from Surfcasters Journal, and today I thought I'd take a minute to show you a product that I started using this year. One of the big issues with Surfcasters is when you get into the heavier plugs, your finger gets really torn up. So this year I tried a new product called Flex Wrap. I found that using tape, a lot of guys use hockey tape. I used to use it myself. And I always found, like in the summer when it's warm, that glue comes off and gets all over everything. It was a pain in the neck. Your fingers start sweating and the tape comes off. So I figured I'd give this a try and see how it works. And I used it the whole season this year, and I'm very impressed with it. I had no issues. Not one time did it ever unravel in the water. And I've had a lot of days when my hands were soaking wet and the glue never came off of it because there is no glue. This is a self-adhesion stretch type, almost like a gauze, like the hospitals use nowadays when they're wrapping bandages instead of using tape. So I tried it this year, and it's very, very impressive. Now, I bought it directly from the company, Flex Wrap, and it came 6 rolls to a bag. It's a little pricey, but I figured if it worked, it would be worth the investment. But one of the things they recommend, they tell you is, with this stuff, because it's so stretchy, is don't wrap it too tight on your finger, because you'll cut off the circulation. I did it once, trying to make sure it was on my finger tight. You don't have to stretch it to the nines to get it on there. One of the things I noticed, though, is that you want to make sure that you have 2 layers of it, because eventually, after a long night, I was on the beach one night about 6 hours, and by the time I got back, the tip section of it was all torn off. So what I do is I take it and I start from the tip of my finger, and I work my way down, and I do 2 wraps. And then I start working my way down. And the reason that I do this is that I want to make sure there's no seam that my line's going to hit against when I'm casting. Maybe trivial, but every little bit helps. So 2 wraps all the way down, pull it tight, and you're good. Now as the night goes on and this compresses, it actually makes a better grip. You can try it for yourself, see if you like it. It's one more piece of equipment in your arsenal, may or may not work for you.
We are fortunate to have Lou, who keeps coming with new ideas to make your surf fishing experience more pleasurable and more effective. Next segment, we have myself and John Skinner sharing some thoughts on the Stormr jackets. This is a Stormr Fusion jacket. It's a new jacket from Storm. It's a splash top to wear on the beach, kind of protects you against the rain and the waves. It's a zip jacket, not a pullover jacket. It's got an internal storm flap here. Will keep the water from coming in. I've been waiting in it all fall. I haven't had any water come in through the zipper. It's got neoprene cuffs. Some of you prefer the latex cuffs. I prefer neoprene. If you really want to be dry and make sure that the water doesn't get in through the sleeves, you should get latex. I can't deal with latex, so I only wear neoprene. It works fine for me. You can cinch it down. Obviously, if you were a wetsuiter or somebody wanted to swim out to the rock, you would get a different jacket. This really is kind of a beach jacket where you're gonna fish it in a bad weather and rain. It's got very good resistance. The water just sheds right off. It's breathable. It's got these neoprene elbow cuffs. What happens is when you cast, it will give you a lot bigger range of motion than the regular jacket would. This neoprene stretches, so you can really cast without being bothered by tightness of the material. You got waterproof pockets. You got pockets on the inside. You got a foam pocket, you know, because you want to be on a beach and Facebook your catches right away, because that's just the way it's done today. Also, there is an adjustable hat in the back. The jacket itself, it's really comfortable to wear. You don't feel too hot with it. You know, I think it's rated or recommended for a certain temperature, maybe like, you know, up to 50, 60 degrees. But I always felt like instead of getting a heavier jacket, I just like to put another layer of clothes on it. That's just the way I am. Some people like to have a strong or heavy jacket and no clothes, you know, just a shirt. I like to put layers underneath to keep warm. So I've been wearing, now it's almost Thanksgiving this weekend, and I've been really comfortable in it. I can't really complain. You can obviously cinch it down to prevent the water. Obviously, you should always be wearing a belt, because it doesn't matter what you cinch down. If you don't have a belt on to keep that water from coming in, you're gonna get wet. All in all, a great jacket, and I've been really happy with the stuff that Stormr has come up with last few years. And obviously, I'm not the only one, right, John?
I like the Stormr jacket. It's so comfortable. It just you know, feels real nice. And like right now, it's like 50 degrees out, and you know, this is very comfortable. This is comfortable with nothing under it, like just a flannel shirt. If it was really cold, I could put a hooded sweatshirt under it, and I'd be completely comfortable in that, and it keeps you dry, and it's nice. I got an interesting story. A friend of mine last week was out working some breakers in an 18-foot center console, and unfortunately he got hit the wrong way by a wave, and he flipped over and rolled the boat, so obviously ended up in the water. Water temperature is about 58 degrees, so that's pretty cold. And you know, the last thing everything was fine, but the last thing he said to me when he told me about the whole story was, "Oh, thank God for my Stormr jacket." He goes, "Even though I had boots on and slickers and everything else," he said, "kept me buoyant, and it kept me warm while I waited for a boat to come pick me up, and then it kept me warm while I was waiting for the tow to come." So, you know, you don't think of it as a safety thing, but if you're out in a boat, I can tell you what, I'm going blackfishing today in my kayak. I'll be wearing this for sure.
50 years ago, Penn built the toughest spinning reel the world has ever known. Until now. Introducing the 5th generation of Spinfisher, the Penn Spinfisher V, with a watertight design that keeps salt water out, a full metal body to withstand heavy loads, and the upgraded Slammer drag system for twice the drag pressure. The Penn Spinfisher V is a new state-of-the-art weapon from Penn. Penn, let the battle begin.
Almost 3 years ago to the date, we sat down with Crazy Alberto on camera, and he shared some of his thoughts on the current state of striped bass fisheries at a time. Recently, we managed to sit him down for a little bit and asked him what his thoughts are today after all these meetings have happened, what the future holds for the striped bass.
With all those wonderful meetings, public meetings, but the truth of the matter is we really have to look deep into what is going on. You know, the special groups, who's behind it, but the committees and so forth. But what happens, my personal feeling is, what's going to happen after all these wonderful meetings, supposedly this wonderful meeting? I am concerned, very concerned, because with the politics involved, with the money that is involved, the special parties, You know, I don't foresee anything good happening in the next 2 years. Ultimately, we may run into a situation that we may have to have a closure, another moratorium, and perhaps, just perhaps, we'll learn something. Not once, but twice. With today's technology, the braid lines, the lures, people are fishing smarter, you know, the fish stands no chance, you know. And one of the greatest things that ever happened to the striped bass fishery when we had that closure. The closure, we had that moratorium. The fish rebounded, and guess what? I don't think we're smart enough or clever enough to realize that we can actually destroy entire biomass. And here we are today, everybody is crying, you know. And despite the fact that we have multiple user groups, if you will, and everyone finger points at everybody saying, oh, you know, it's the commercials problem, oh, it's the recreational problem, is the conservation guys are not minding their own business or minding what the business that they're really supposed to be. But everybody's to be blamed for. And what's going on today with the meetings and that 25% reduction, and there's issues about 1 at 28, 1 at 32, and then there comes this equivalency, conservation equivalency. But the truth of the matter is, it's all about sustainability. We need to really protect this fish, because without this fish, there is no sport, there is no future, there's nothing, and there's no business. You know, I dedicated my life into fishing, from a corporate world into this fishy business. But the fact is, we have today's economy, we have a fishery that is in stress, and it's not just striped bass per se, it's just the entire fishery, whether it's blackfish, whether it's you know, the flounder, the weak fish. You know, the key thing is we need to talk about conservation, the true meaning of conservation, and ultimately we have a sustainable fishery all around.
And now for the last word, we turn to Rhode Island Sharpie, Dennis Zambrata.
I see a lot of the newer guys, they want to go out and they want to surf fish and they want to know where and when, but they don't ask why it's happening. And to me, that is the most satisfying part of surf fishing, is you know when and you know where, but then you want to know why are those fish there? And if you can learn that, you'll become a better surf fisher. Because it's the last part of the puzzle. And a lot of guys just want to know where and when, but they don't know why. They don't care why, they just want to be there.
I hope you enjoyed the first episode of our show. We will continue to strive to bring you the best content, just like we do with the Surfcasters Journal magazine. To watch the show in the future, please consider subscribing to the Surfcasters Journal magazine at www.surfcastersjournal.com. Tight lines.
There are 3 advantages to neoprene core technology. The first is the high stretch, windproof and waterproof materials. The second is the positive buoyancy. And the third is the water repellent finish. The neoprene core is what keeps you warm and dry. And it's used as a membrane in between the moisture-wicking fleece and the durable nylon. And all these materials are 4-way stretch, so it gives you great mobility and full range of motion. The neoprene is inherently buoyant, so the jacket itself adds about 5 pounds of positive buoyancy. So if you ever did fall in the water, the jacket's gonna work with you and not fight against you. The exterior durable nylon is treated with a water repellent finish, so water just beads right off and it doesn't get heavy.